Hello everyone, I'm Anna and we are going to go on to talking more about the cerebrum. We're now going to look at part 6 and I'm going to focus a little bit more on how the white matter communicates. So this is between the different areas of the cerebrum. And remember, the white matter are those myelinated tracts. And how are you communicating from one part of the brain to the next using this white matter? Now, right here, I'm going to write down some of what I'm saying, but I'm not going to be able to write as quickly as I speak. So remember, in your learning modules, I have the PowerPoints that have more note slides on it. Okay, so you want to be referring to those note slides to get some of the information that I may not be writing down as I'm talking. Okay, so as I mentioned on the first picture, okay, you need to be able to talk between the different parts of your brain, okay? And you're going to do that with myelinated tracts. And these myelinated tracts are what we call the white matter. And you've got white matter in the spinal cord and the cerebellum, but you've also got it in the cerebrum, which is what we're going to be talking about right now. Now, we can often, when we talk about this, we will abbreviate the name to be more specific. I don't know if abbreviate's the right word, but we will be more specific and we will say the cerebral cortex, okay? And that's what we're talking about when we say the cerebral white matter. So with the tracts that we're going to be talking about, we're going to talk about commissural, and we're going to talk about association. Just put the word fibers in here, association fibers, and we're going to be talking about projection fibers. So you need to know the basics of all of these. Things that I look for patterns when I'm trying to remember this stuff. So what helps me is I can remember that commissural fibers are horizontal in their orientation and association fibers are also horizontal. So that means they're going to be going from right to left. But projection fibers are vertical in the orientation. So they're going to be going from the upper cortex down to the lower cortex or spinal cord. Okay? The other thing that I try to remember is that commissural fibers are between hemispheres and association fibers are within hemispheres, often between gyri. Okay? I want you to go back and make sure you look at those fibers, those note slides. We've got different things that you need to remember about these different areas. All right, so with the commissural, I want you to remember to associate the corpus callosum, which is going to be the major crossing over, like the bridge. This is like the Cesar Chavez bridge between the right and the left. Okay, the projection fibers, all right, they're going to again be going up and down, and they're going to be connecting the brain all the way down, further lower, getting it down to the brainstem. Okay, we've got two major areas you need to be familiar with, not in huge amounts of details because this is just a 200 level A&P class, so just basics. You've got the internal capsule and the Corona Radiata. I need you to be able to recognize those and basically say what they're connecting up, okay? At this point, we should look at some pictures. All right, so looking right over here, I want you to pay attention to this view, okay? So this is what we call a coronal section. So we've cut off the front, okay? Now, in terms of landmarks, you've got right here, why did I write brainstem right there? That's not the brainstem. You've got your cerebellum, okay? This is where the brainstem is located. These are your ventricles, all right? So there's a ventricle and there's a ventricle, all right? So then this is where the thalamus is located, and then the ventricles, the third ventricle, the areas of the third ventricle wrap around it. So you can see over here they've got the label right there for the ventricles. I don't think they have it over here on the brain. Now what I like is I've got a drawing over here, okay, and I've got a cadaver specimen over here, and I think that helps with trying to look at these things. So I've got the third ventricle, you've got the thalamus tissue here and here, and then the third ventricle and the lateral ventricles here and here. I have the thalamus over in here, and then you can see where it kisses. And then I've got the third ventricle, and I've got the lateral ventricles up in here, okay? Now, let's look back over here at the drawing, and what you're gonna notice is this green, which is a commissural fiber, but it's a very famous one that we call the Corpus Callosum. And you can see it right here. This is a major landmark in the brain when you're doing like MRIs or sections and stuff like that. Okay, so the corpus callosum is right there. Oh, and actually they've got the lateral ventricle labeled over here. That helps. Okay, now the corpus callosum, the commissural fibers communicate between right and left. All right, so they are again a horizontal fiber. But I also need to communicate within, so I've got these pink association fibers. So you can see they've done it in pink right here. So you can see how this is communicating between the different gyri of the lobes. So over here, this is where you would have the association fibers, okay, from here to here. Now the projection fibers, they're doing in purple. And what you see is they have a fan up here, and then they've got a long stripe down here, and then they do a decussation down here in the brainstem, okay? Now where it goes out into a fan, it is called the Corona Radiata. So a corona is like the little halo thing, and then radiata is fanning. So where it does this business is called the Corona Radiata. Where it is a tight band, it looks kind of like a capsule, or at least to someone they thought it looked like a capsule. So this is called the internal capsule. What is nice is, again, you can see how this is working, and they've actually not put the arrow in the right spot. It should be right here. So this is the internal capsule. That's going to go down like this, and then like this. And then it's hard to distinguish the Corona Radiata from the association and Corpus Callosum, but basically it's doing this up in here. Okay? All right, I think that is enough on that. Let's actually go and look at this in a sagittal view. All right, right here we've got the sagittal view of the exact same thing. What I like is, again, you've got a drawing, and you've got a drawing, and you've got a cadaver. I think it is always easier to look at both at the same time, and then right here it's showing you what the section is. So here you've got a nice view of that corpus callosum. Here they're doing it with these little green dots, so you can see the corpus callosum is here. Let's actually change it to green so that it's a little bit easier to see. Now they've done this stippling, all right, these little dots, because it's been cut. So these would be going lengthwise in that direction, okay? So they've been cut basically transversely. Now over here, you can see the band of the corpus callosum again. Now this is an interesting dissection because they've gone in to try and show you some of the fanning out a little bit better. So here's the projection fibers, and they're showing the Corona Radiata, which is going like this. A lot of this has been cut away, but you can see the wall where you still have a hint of it, okay? So if we come over here, basically we've got a hint of the Corona Radiata starting going up like this. The internal capsule, you can see the feeder lines coming up here, and then it's gonna fan out to make that Corona Radiata, okay? So it's kind of hard to represent because these are all technically part of the internal capsule, and then they're fanning out to the different parts. So I don't know if I said that quite right before, the way I was trying to describe it. May have been a little confusing. All right, but I think I did okay getting to it in the end. So I think now, oh wait, we forgot the association fibers. So the association fibers are here, and I like what they've done with this because what they're trying to show is that if you start teasing things out, you can see these kind of roughened areas where these fibers are kind of going and hooking up with each other. Okay, sort of maybe. Anyway, all right, so we're going to stop there, and you can finish taking up your, writing out your notes and move on to the next presentation.